welcome to this quick instructional video. I'm Andrew Hall. I'm the Development Manager and Head of Support for my SIMs at Nolan Business Solutions. And this is a quick run through the installation process of Nolan Bank Feeds for Dynamics 365 Business Central. So hopefully you can see the screen in front of you, and you're now looking at the Microsoft apps. So the first things first, you need to find the software on the App Store. So if we come down here, we're obviously looking at Dynamics 365. We're looking at Business Central, and we want to find our product, which is called Bank Feeds. Start typing in there, Bank Feeds. Space in the middle. And there we go. Nolan Bank Feeds has appeared on the App Store. So it's literally a case of just clicking on this. And here's our entry on App Source. The Nolan Bank Feeds. It's a free trial to start with. Let's save that to your list. It's always good to have these things easily accessible. There's a little bit of information about our product down here. And on this tab here, we have access to some extra information. So we've got links to our data sheets. We have links to our support site, and etc., which will give you access via a chatbot, which goes to live human beings at the end. And obviously, we've got a help function here. Now, the help function is quite useful. It will go straight to our user manual. There we go. It's all here, which does take you through the whole of the installation process. There we go. So we can guide you through it, even starting with the point we're at now. So downloading from the App Store. There are some interesting bits and pieces on here. Obviously, one of the things you're going to need to do is have all your kind of prerequisites ready. The major one is going to be having your bank connection details. So it depends on how you want to connect to the bank, whether you're going to connect via an SFTP, via an API, or via one of the aggregated services that we will shortly be adding to the product. If you look in the bank connection section, you can come down here and we can see the different options currently available. There will be more coming soon. There is a link here whereby you can see what the currently supported connections are and what will be coming soon. Anyway, back to the installation of Nolan Bank Feeds. So we start our free trial. We click this. And it's now talking to my Dynamics 365 Business Central. As you can see, it's looking at our system and it can see all the different parts of it. So we've got our production, we've got our sandboxes, we're international, so we have our USA parts as well. But I'm going to be installing here, which is the UK sandbox. I'm going to click install. Off it goes, it's logging into my Business Central. It's going to start talking to the system here, and it's going to say, right, where do you want it? Well, we're in England at the moment. So obviously, if you're in the States or elsewhere, you change that setting. At the moment, it's installing the extension. You can view the progress on the status page. It's very good. Anyway, that's all well and good. I'm going to click OK on that. So there we go. Now into Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central itself. So that is all you need to do to install the BC end of the product. You may need to go in and check your user permissions, make sure you have access to the new Nolan roles. So you'll need to be a systems administrator to check those that are there. If not, reach out to your administrator. They can give you access to those roles. Right, so the next part is we're going to go and check the extensions. See, they are installed. There we go. So we're now looking at extension management. As we scroll down, you can see, there we go, Nolan Bank Feeds is now installed. Brilliant. So the next thing we need to do is go across to the setup for Nolan Bank Feeds itself. So search on our search anywhere buttons. Here's our bank feed setup. This is the bit we're interested in. Start your free trial. And I'll give it a name. It's probably going to be your company name, etc., rather than the individual. So when you set this account up, you set it up with an individual account. But what we're going to be looking for later on is you'll want to add in other users. You don't want to leave it just as the single user for the data recovery portion. Down here, we've got our terms and conditions. These need to be agreed to, so I'm going to agree to all of those. Very important, if you're a consultant and you're setting this up for a client, they need to tick these boxes because this is legal. You can't tick it on their behalf. It needs to be physically them because they're agreeing to our terms and conditions. So there is that piece there. And obviously, I'm going to tell it I'm not a robot. There we go. So what that has done has created an account and it's sent me an email. So if I go over to my email, now we have found that without any exception whatsoever, they seem to go straight into junk mail. So here we go in junk mail. There is the email the system's just sent out. So I'm going to verify that account. And there we go. It's verified the account and it has now taken me into that account in Nolan Cloud Services. Okay, and straight to the Bank Feeds setup page. And as you can see, it's now going to guide me through the whole of the setup process for Bank Feeds. And as I go through the process, it's going to tell me which bits are done, and it's going to tick these boxes, making them green. So it's a fairly simple process. The first thing we've got to do is we've got to link this account back to our Nolan Cloud Services. So we're doing that via the account number for the account we just created and via a token. Now, obviously, you don't want to be typing all those sorts of things in. So we've got copy functionality. So copy functionality over here, back to my Nolan Cloud Bank Feed setup window. I'm going to put my new one in there. There we go. Linking it to that account now. And I'm going to go back to my Nolan Cloud Services. Where is it gone? There it is. And I'm going to copy the token. There we go. That's the token. Back to here. Put my access token in. Then access token in. Tab off of that. Oh, there we go. It's all changed. And as you can see, the set of buttons at the top have changed. And we've now lost the ability to set up our trial account. So it knows it's no longer because it's now linked to that trial account via this. But what we do have is the ability to activate that trial account, i.e. stop it being a trial and start on the full-blown process with it. At this stage, we have now done that. So if we look back at our Nolan Cloud Services, there we go. That box has gone green because it's all talking to each other. So it knows it's done that bit. So what we need to do is now create our first bank entity within the system. Okay. So after completing the steps, return to this page by searching home from the side navigation. So we go create a bank entity. So we're going to come in here, and this is where we are creating the bank entity in Nolan Cloud Services. So this is the part of it that contains all the unique information that is connecting to the bank, and is all going to be scheduled to go and download your statements and hold them here until you're ready to use them or push them through in an automated manner. So we've got here the first stage of this. What you are going to need at this point is your bank connection details to be able to set this up and take it further. If you don't have those, you won't be able to get past this stage at this point. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go next. And what is it? It's a bank. And we're going to have a look at which geographical region. Well, it's all of them at the moment. As the product changes, that will become more restrictive. What one are we going to connect to? Is it the Bank of America APIs, NatWest, PayPal, Stripe? Well, I'm just going to go for a generic SFTP with username and password at this time. There will be more connections coming as the product progresses. And going to go next. And there we go. It's SFTP, so password. And I'm going to put in my details for my bank. And at this point, I'm going to need to put in some further information. So I know that it's $29. On its port number, I'm going to put in my is all for a test system. And at this point in time, the directory on the server. The file format we're going to be using. This one's going to be in the Commonwealth Bank of Australia file format. And there's extra fields there if they're required. Click register. So that's now created the bank entity inside Nolan Cloud Services, ready to connect. So if we press home, we go back to that field and we can see, yep, we've got our nice big green tick. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do now is to refresh the transactions from here, so that we're going to bring the transactions into Nolan Cloud Services. So I'm going to click on the refresh transactions option, and this is an important step. So we're going to go over here. So here's the account we created, and we're going to come on here and we're going to refresh transactions. You only really need to do this the first time that you come into Nolan Cloud Services. That's going off, and it's doing that after this. Any other further will be automated and come through all by. So once we've run the refresh, you can see that it's done the refresh, and this is the reason we're doing that at this point. So this has now brought through an account number. That account number wasn't there before. This is highly important. So the account number is now there and has come through into the bank entity. So if we go back to our home, the next bit is to link the Business Central bank statement, that bank account, into our Nolan Bank Feeds account, and this is why we needed that account number, because this is look up here will look through at that bank account number. So I come into my Business Central. So this time we're going into the standard bank account, and as you can see, we're coming over here. I have one I've created earlier. Click on this one here. These new ones, bare minimum of information filled out. But you'll notice we now have this Nolan Bank account feed account window. And as you can see, all we need to do is click on the three buttons, and that will go out to Nolan Cloud Services, and it will do a lookup. And there we go. We find that account number that got imported when we did the refresh data. So that's the one I want. That's my bank entity in Nolan Cloud Services. Thank you very much. That's now in there. So that is now linked to our Nolan Cloud Services. Excellent. I'm just going to put the same bank account number in here, 105, 107, just for completion's sake. There we go. So we now have our bank account linked to the account in Nolan Cloud Services. Nolan Cloud Services is linked to our Business Central. We go back into our Nolan Cloud Services. Here we can see that's now gone green. So as you see, it's leading us through that system there. That's all been ticked. It's all done. So we've got one last step to do, which is the download your statements into Business Central. So in this case, what we need to do is just go into Business Central and do an import statement. So what statement is it going to import, you ask yourself? It's going to be these ones over on the bank entity. So if we go back to our bank entity here, we can see any statement files that it has downloaded. And there you go, there's a whole load of statement files that the system has downloaded when we did that refresh. And as you can see, I can actually check out, see what's in that file. So this is a Commonwealth Bank of Australia format file from the SFTP side of things. We can delete those if you want to, if you don't want those coming across. So we can do those there. If we go back to the bank entity, we have a look in the account, we can actually see those transactions that were in those files, and there they are, ready to go across to Business Central. The other thing we can do here while we're in the bank entities is it's worth looking at this bit here, because by default, we have a refresh time of 3 AM in the morning UTC. Now, you might not want that, might want another time, depending if it clashes with other systems. So this is where it's going to go out and keep dragging those files down. As Noah mentioned earlier, that these files are brought down automatically. You pretty much have to do that refresh only the first time. So that's something you may wish to change as well, but you don't need to at this stage. So we can see there's files in there, it's connected to the bank, it's brought them into Nolan Cloud Services. So we can now go into our bank. So let's go back to here. And we're going to go into our bank account. And we can go into our House Curita bank account. And as you can see, we've now got a Nolan Bank Feeds button on here, and we can import transactions. We've got an activity log we can look at to see what transactions have been imported as well. Now, these buttons appear all over the shop. So wherever you're going to do your banking can be done from there as well. So if you look and click on reconciliation, so we've got bank account reconciliation. Here goes the list. As you can see, there's no Curita ones in there at the moment, but because it's set up and connected to my, I've got my bank feeds in here as well. So I can go in here and I can import transactions. So if I do transactions imported, you saw everything shift there, right? As it did it, and click OK. And we've now got House Curita. It's the first statement from House Curita, and been loaded into the system. So I'll go into that. And there we go. There's all our bank statement lines ready to be reconciled to the bank ledger lines when we bring them in. We can now start using that standard functionality. Again, we've got our Nolan Bank Feeds here, and we can import into the current statement if we wanted to add an extra import into it. We've got the activity log here. We can get the activity log and we can see when it connected and how many bank statements and transactions were brought in, etc. So we have audit capability. And the last thing that you may want to check on the setup is if we go back to our Nolan Bank Feeds, you may want to look at the scheduling here. So what we can do is we can set a number of days prior that it's going to go and look for transactional information. Import options, are we always going to have it to create a new statement, or are we going to have it to append, pending there? The next time we want it to do a scheduled import and the import status and whether we're going to run the schedule or not, and we can have it to skip days. So if you want to do once a week, you could schedule a time for 12 AM and skip 5 days if you want to, and then every 5 days at 12 AM it's going to do the import. The beauty of that is that the end user experience would literally be that they would come in the morning, they'd come in and they would go into their reconciliation. And what they would do is they would just find that waiting for them. So then they just need to do the rest of it and go on. So we'll use their effort. Hopefully that's taken you through the installation process of the product. As you can see, it's nice and easy. We go back to Nolan Cloud Services and we go back to our home screen. You can see we've got all our nice green tick boxes down there saying the whole thing is completely set up, and it's as easy as that. If you need to change the connection details to different banks, other banks, etc., again, you're going through the same process. You don't need to do this bit anymore. What you would want to do is you'd be setting up extra bank entities with their own connectivity to the bank, so you could have multiple bank entities in there going forward. So it's nice and simple. If you need any help, please do reach out, and hope to be hearing from you soon. Thank you very much.